Hey there, YouTubers, and welcome to my 8th YouTube video in which I'll finally be presenting to you guys my complete and up-to-date Super Nintendo game collection. Sorry, or Super Famicom game collection if you live in Japan, video. So, yeah, this is going to be a pretty long video. Right now I have a total of 23 games for the system. This is definitely by far my favorite retro video game system. Right now I own, as far as retro systems go, the Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, Sega Saturn, which my sisters got me, kudos to them, and the Super Game Boy, which is a device that attaches onto your SNES that allows you to play original Game Boy games on your Super Nintendo, which is a pretty cool device. But this is definitely, the Super Nintendo is definitely my favorite video game console of all time, so let's get started. Okay, now the first game is Spider-Man Maximum Carnage, made by LJN. This is actually a really good game. I enjoyed this. I got this on Amazon for I think like $20-something, something like that. It's a really good game. It's a beat 'em up made by LJN, which, if you know anything about retro games, then you know that, pretty much any LJN game is going to be, complete garbage. I mean, even if you watch, like, the AVGN, he refers to it as, laughing, joking numbnuts. But, no, this is actually a really good game. I enjoyed this. The controls are fluent. There is a little bit of variety to it. I wish they kind of expanded on the variety of it to it, but good game. Good game. Okay, next we have Frogger. Now, the interesting fact about this game was that it was actually the very last Super Nintendo game that was released in North America in, I think, 1998, if I'm not mistaken. But as far as gameplay goes, I really wouldn't recommend this game. I mean, basically what it is just a remake of, like an exact remake of the arcade game Frogger. So, I mean, it's really not worth picking up at all, in my opinion. I mean, because there's no music to it. The controls do work fine, but it's really mediocre. If you really want to play Frogger, the original game Frogger, I would just go online and play it and not spend, $40-something for it. I got mine used on Amazon. I get a lot of my games on Amazon. But yeah, really, it's really not that good. Okay, next game is game made by Data East, Joe and Mac. This is the original Joe and Mac for the Super Nintendo. Pretty good game. Pretty good game. I won't lie to you. It's basically a action platformer where you play as Joe, and the goal of the game is to save your brother Mac. And the demo is actually pretty funny of this game. Once you turn on the system, Super Nintendo, you see them like hitting each other with baseball bats because they're cavemen. I guess maybe it's just for humor, but pretty good game. Pretty good game. The controls are a little bit wonky. I mean, jumping, it seems kind of forced in a way. And, there are some annoying parts to it, like, bees that you can't avoid during the game at all. But my favorite part about the game is definitely the boss battles. I really think that the boss battles really define this game and make it stand out. I mean, you can tell that, they put a lot of time and effort into them. So, yeah, good game. I would definitely seek it out. By the way, I got it at Sudden Impact in Winthrop, Mass. I would definitely check that store out. Basically what it is a retro video game store in Winthrop, Mass. Okay, next game is a really shitty fighting game. Balls 3D. Yeah, I don't even know where to begin with this game. It's made by, excuse me, it's made by, Accolade. Obviously, they made the Bubsy series for the Super Nintendo and other systems. Yeah, this game is really, really shitty. I mean, the characters you can't even I can't even describe what they look like. I mean, you have to have a pretty powerful imagination to even know what most of them are. The controls are terrible. There's the hit detection is really poor. Bottom line, it's a terrible game. I would avoid it at all costs if you have the Super Nintendo. Okay, so next game is my first and only first-person shooter for the Super Nintendo. I'm saving up for Wolfenstein 3D, but right now I only have Doom for the Super Nintendo. Again, another red card, just like Spider-Man Maximum Carnage. This was made by Williams Entertainment. This game is okay. Personally, I wouldn't really recommend this version of Doom. I would, if you really want to play Doom for real, I would seriously recommend, the Atari Jaguar version of it. I've heard that version is a lot better than this. The graphics in this game are really choppy for some reason. And I haven't really played that much of it. I just got it recently, but from what I know, it isn't really that good. It does have blood in it, so I have to give it credit for that. I mean, that's obviously why it has the M rating for it right there, as you can see, the M rating. But yeah, I mean it's okay. Again, I wouldn't really recommend this version of Doom, but still pretty cool to have. Okay, next game is a game that if you like your shmups, then I would definitely seek this game out. It's Super R-Type for the Super Nintendo, made by Irem America. This was released in 1991. This is a really, really fun game. I absolutely love this game for many reasons. I mean, it is very, very difficult because, if you get hit once by an enemy, you automatically die and you have to start from the beginning. So it can get a little bit frustrating at times, I won't lie to you, but it's still, I mean, wow, the music in this game, I really like the beginning music of this game in stage 1. I mean, it gets me so pumped up to play it. Really, really, really fun game. Definitely seek it out if you have the system. And next is a sports game that I got a while ago. This is NHL 94, made by Electronic Arts, or EA Sports, as most people refer to it as. I haven't really played that much of this game, to be honest with you. This is another game that I got in the box on Amazon.com. Again, I usually like to get my games on Amazon.com. But yeah, NHL 94, pretty good game. I mean, I'm not really that good at it. And to be honest with you, I'm not even that big of a hockey fan, to be honest. I'm more of a baseball and basketball fan. That's why I have the Phillies hat on right now. But yeah, NHL 94 is pretty fun. I mean, I would seek it out if you're a hockey fan, I guess. Okay, next game is another great game. Batman Returns, made by Konami. This is another beat 'em up game, sort of like Spider-Man Maximum Carnage. Again, really, really great game. And a lot of people, including myself, to be honest with you, I mean, this is definitely the greatest Batman game on the Super Nintendo. I've heard that The Adventures of Batman and Robin are also pretty good. I unfortunately don't own that game in my collection as of yet. But I've heard really good things about that game too. But if you really, really want to play a Batman game on the Super Nintendo, definitely seek Batman Returns out. Awesome game. Awesome game. And here's another game that is pretty fun. Super Star Wars for the Super Nintendo, made by JVC. Again, another great game. This is the first game of the Star Wars series. There's there's Super Star Wars, Super Return of the Jedi, and Super Empire Strikes Back. So 3 of them. I only have 1 in my collection right now, but this is a really, really good game. I've played a lot of this. I haven't really gone that far because it is pretty challenging. But yeah, definitely seek it out if you have the system. Next game is a Disney's-based game, Aladdin, on the Super Nintendo. This is my only Disney-based game for the system. It's made by a great company, Capcom. I absolutely love Capcom games. Now, the thing is, I've heard from many people that the Sega Genesis version of this game is a lot better because, I mean, I still enjoy this game, don't get me wrong, and I unfortunately don't have the Sega Genesis version on me right now, but your weapon that you used to attack people with is, they're apples as opposed to the Genesis version where it's a sword that you attack your enemies with. And that's really what Sega tried to push for. They really tried to make Nintendo seem like, it's just a kiddie console and, the Genesis was more of, an adult themed console, I guess you can say. So, I mean, a lot of people do like the Sega Genesis version of Aladdin better, just out of all fairness, but still a pretty fun game. I already beat it. It's actually pretty easy, and I was really surprised to see that it even had a password option, to be honest with you, because for a game this short, I mean, I'm not even that good at video games, and I beat this game, like, in, an hour or so, maybe a little bit more than an hour. But still a pretty fun game. It's a little bit too easy for me, but um, excuse me, still worth owning. And next game that I have is Super Mario All Stars, made by Nintendo. Uh, this is a really really cool game. I absolutely love this game. Basically, what this is a compilation of of the original Super Mario Brothers games on the Nintendo Entertainment System, like Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers 2, Super Mario Brothers 3, and it also has Super Mario Brothers The Lost Levels, which is, for those of you who don't know, it's the Japanese version of Super Mario Brothers 2 because that game was never released in North America because it was, too hard, I guess, for American audiences. But so instead, the U.S. was treated to a version of Super Mario Brothers 2 that was a variation on Doki Doki Panic, which is a Japanese NES game. But yeah, really, really great game. I would definitely seek it out if you have the system. Definitely worth owning. And the next game I have is arguably the best puzzle game on the Super Nintendo, and that's Tetris Attack. Now, I really, really love this game. It's considered a classic. I got this at J&L Video Games in New York City. Really, really cool game. Basically, what it is a Tetris game that's based on the character Yoshi from Super Mario World. Yeah, really, really fun game. It is challenging, and I really like the music in this game. Like how, if you start at a stage, then the music is pretty calm. It starts off calmly, at least. But then as you get to the top, it like gets faster, and I always get freaked out when it gets faster because it's like, oh no, I have to like hurry up. Because if it reaches the top, then it's game over for you. But yeah, really, really good game. Definitely one of the better puzzle games on the system. And the next game that I have is yet another version of Super Mario All Stars, which you'd probably be at. The only difference between this and the one that I showed before was that this comes with Super Mario World for the Super Nintendo. Now, the main reason why I have two versions of this is because this version of Super Mario All Stars doesn't really work that well. I mean, it's weird. It's weird. Like, it's like for Super Mario World, it doesn't work at all. For Super Mario Brothers 3, it works, but it's very glitchy. And for Super Mario Brothers 2 and the original Super Mario Brothers, it works perfectly fine. But I unfortunately lost all of my progress on this when I was playing the Lost Levels because it it's really, really used. I mean, you can even see like it's in pretty bad shape as it is. Like, corners right here are like teared. You can see the label on it, but basically, I didn't get this in very good condition. Thankfully, I only got it for like $2 on Amazon, but yeah, that version of it really doesn't work, which is why I bought another one. So yeah, the next game that I have is racing game, the original Super Mario Kart, made by Nintendo. This is the Player's Choice Edition version, which, if you're a hardcore Super Nintendo fan, you normally wouldn't want to get the Player's Choice Edition seals simply because, it's not really the original game. But still, I mean, this is a really, really fun game. Another classic, so, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of people already know about this game, though. I think that the Super Nintendo version, this is the first one, but the N64 version I've heard is even more popular. Basically, what this is a racing game with all the Mario characters. Like you have, obviously Mario, Luigi, Princess Peach, or Princess Toadstool, as some people would refer to her as. Toad, Bowser, Donkey Kong is in it. Just a really fun game. The battle mode in this is really cool. In my opinion, I really like this game. I played a lot of it. And the next game that I have is, again, another classic. Oh, wait. Um, Here. Oh, yeah. Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. Yeah, this is definitely a classic. I absolutely love this game. I haven't gotten really too far in it, to be honest with you, but yeah, still a very fun game. This is definitely one of the better Super Nintendo games out there. So definitely seek it out if you're a fan of Zelda. And next game that I own is another Konami game, Tiny Toon Adventures: Buster Bust Loose. I haven't really played too much of this game. I know it's an action adventure platform game, but yeah, I've heard really good things about this game. This is another game that I got at J&L Video Games in New York City, but yeah, I've played a little bit of it. It seems like a pretty fun game. Okay, and the next game that I have is another game by Capcom. This is definitely the hardest game that I own for the Super Nintendo, and that's Super Ghouls and Ghosts, made by Capcom. Now, this is a sequel to the original Ghosts and Goblins on the NES, which I've heard from many different people is actually even harder than this game, if that's even possible. Yeah, this is a really, really brutal game. I mean, I still haven't finished it. I'm hoping to get a Game Genie for the Super Nintendo eventually, just so that I can beat it finally, because this game has been mocking me ever since I got it. Basically, I mean, there's no password mode to it, no save option. And the thing is, you have to beat the game twice, which is always nice. Basically, I mean, it's a really good game. Don't get me wrong; it actually is really fun to play. I mean, I know I'm whining a lot about this right now, but really, really hard game for the Super Nintendo. Now, the next game that I have is Super Mario World for the Super Nintendo. Now I know a lot of people have shown this in their game collection. I got this packaged with my Super Nintendo when I bought it on eBay. Really, really cool game. Really great game. It's another classic. A lot of people already know about this. I haven't. It's funny. I played this a lot, and I actually did beat the game not too long ago. But I still have yet to unlock Star, the Rainbow World, or I think it's isn't it? I think it's Star World. It's Star Road. It's called, where you unlock like these different variations of Yoshi. Like there's like red Yoshi, yellow Yoshi, blue Yoshi even. But I haven't unlocked it yet. But yeah, really, really great game for the Super Nintendo. And right here we have the sequel to it, Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island. Now, as you can see, I didn't get this game in the best condition. I mean, you can even see right here, it's a little bit teared. That's how it came when I first got it, actually. But yeah, really fun game. Again, another classic. I know there's a Nintendo 3DS game that's similar to this. I think it's called like New Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island, which is basically a remake of this game, which really shows, the legacy that it has in the gaming community. The one complaint that I do happen to have about it, though, is that Baby Mario is really, really annoying in this game. Basically, all he does in it is just whine and cry if you get hit by an enemy, and you have, I think, like 10 seconds to save him, and if you don't, then Kamek's minions come in and steal him, and you lose a life, which is really frustrating. So that's really my only huge complaint with it. Other than that, it's a really great game. It actually invented a new move called the Flutter Jump, which is really cool that Yoshi does, and Baby Mario does serve some purpose to the game. I mean, I'm not going to say that he's a total nuisance. Like, I mean, he can't turn into a submarine and like a car and like a tractor, I think. So, I mean, he does serve, some purpose, but that's not really saying that much. But still a really great game. Definitely one of the better Super Nintendo games. And the next game that I have is another game made by Accolade, and that's Bubsy in Claws Encounters of the Third Kind. Yeah, this is an okay game. This was the original Bubsy game that was released for the Super Nintendo. I know there's also a Sega Genesis version of the game, which I don't own. I'm not sure if there's a original Bubsy for the Sega Genesis, but I know there's the sequel to it for both the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis. But the first game it's okay. I mean, I haven't really gotten that far in it just because there's no save option, no password option. But it's okay. I mean, I would get it just for the sake of having it. But the one thing that I have to say before I go on to my next game is that it's annoying because you only get one-hit deaths in the original Bubsy, and if you get hit by an enemy, you die. You die immediately and you lose a life, which is kind of annoying. The hit detection is also pretty weird in this game. So I mean, it's average at the very least. But the sequel, which is just called Bubsy 2, this is definitely a better version of the original Bubsy, and I really appreciate the fact that they cut out the one-hit death scenarios, which, I mean, I think Accolade learned from the first game that, they really effed up when they decide to put one-hit deaths in the game, because that really takes away from the, fun of it. But really the only reason why that game is even better than the first one, in my opinion, is just because the graphics are slightly better on it. But yeah, I mean, it's okay. Now, the next game that I have is another classic, and this started the Star Fox series, and that's Star Fox for the Super Nintendo. I got this one boxed on Amazon.com. Again, can't go wrong with Amazon, I guess. But the really cool thing about this game, and Doom, which I actually forgot to mention, was that it has the Super FX chip on it. If you can see that right there, it says, Super FX. Pardon me. And basically what that is a chip inside the cartridge that allows for 3D polygonal graphics for the system, which is actually really cool because, if you think about it, back then, the graphics for this, okay, sure, Star Fox nowadays, at least the original one, is really, outdated, and by today's standards would actually look pretty choppy, the graphics would, but still a really great game. I absolutely love it. I really like how the characters in this game don't even they talk in it, but it's sort of, it's not even like talking. It's sort of like as they're talking to Star Fox and he's like flying. But yeah, really great game. Definitely pick it up if you have the Super Nintendo. And for my last Super Nintendo game, I have my first and only Super Famicom game for the system, and that's Rockman Soccer, or Mega Man Soccer if you live in North America. This was made by Capcom, another really great company, and I got this at J&L Video Games. I wasn't really crazy about this game, to be honest with you. I know a lot of people do happen to like it. I don't know what it is. I mean, the controls are really awkward. Basically, what this is a soccer game with all the Mega Man characters, like Mega Man, for instance. Yeah, I mean, it's just a really, really bad game, in my opinion. I really didn't enjoy it at all, which is really disappointing to me because, I mean, if it's made by Capcom, which, I mean, most Capcom games are actually really, really good. Like the Mega Man X series. I know there was three of them: Mega Man X, Mega Man X2, and Mega Man X3. But yeah, Rockman Soccer, man, it just wasn't doing it for me. And the thing is, you're probably wondering, well, do I have the Super Famicom? No, I actually don't. But what I did do was I have the North American Super Nintendo at my dad's house. That's where I am right now, in my garage at my dad's house. And basically, what I did was, for those of you who don't know, you can actually make your North American SNES region free by, if you get a pair of needle nose pliers, you can cut out these two white tabs inside the system, which is exactly what I did. Because the thing is, Super Famicom games, and you can't do this with PAL region games, unfortunately, because the chips inside the cartridges are different. But for Super Famicom games, you can actually play them on your Super Nintendo if you cut out those two white tabs. You will get some plastic in the system, which, I mean, I'm just warning you ahead of time if you really want to do it. So make sure you're aware of that just to get the plastic out. But if you cut out those white tabs, you can actually play Super Famicom games and they'll work perfectly fine because the chips inside are the exact same kind as the North American Super Nintendo games. So that was pretty cool. That was actually pretty fun to do. But yeah, really, I really didn't enjoy it. I'm not a big fan of Rockman Soccer. But yeah, that concludes this. Just about 28-minute video on my Super Nintendo collection. So I'll talk to you guys again sometime soon, and next time I'll be showing you guys my Sega Genesis game collection. Right now I have 11 games for that system. This is definitely my biggest game collection that I have. But sometime next week I'll make sure I get to my my Sega Genesis game collection, because that's another great system and was the prime competitor to the Super Nintendo. So that concludes this video, and I'll talk to you guys again sometime soon. Have a good night.